I sat, right next to Brendan, who's the real genius behind the Golfers Journal and the founder and the publisher, and it's really his vision. And I got to sit next to him every day and learn everything that there is to know about this business, top to bottom. And to his credit, the best thing that ever happened to me was he just let me fail rapidly.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Whole Story Podcast. Jonathan, today we talk to Mr. Casey Bannon, the brand director of all things Golfers Journal. That was a great conversation.
It really was. It's another one of those moments where you're like, not only have we already been in the same room with him in an event that blows our mind, I think still, like the fact that we were there for the private conversation between Tom and Jack Nicklaus, but then also like to have him on the show. Not only is golf people, but also it's full of good people, like just kind, good people.
I agree. No, and it's, cool story about how he got to where he got, and so many lessons in there for anybody that, if you have a dream and you want to do something, like, don't give up on it, right? And he used the analogy, it's like golf, right? You keep working at it until you hit that one good shot that gets you to keep coming back. And he has a great story of how he got to where he is at the Golfers Journal. So great conversation. I hope you guys enjoy it as we get into it. As always, we are brought to you by our friends at Summit Golf Brands, the Beach Ratty Zero Restriction Fairway and Green. If you use BestBall 20 at any of their sites, they will hook you up with a 20% discount. So go check that out for sure. Any final thoughts as we jump into this episode, Jonathan?
No, I mean, the one thing that I took away from this was the grind in the moment, where if you're listening to this and you're like, I'm just lost in the sauce when it comes to life and I don't even know where it can go, it can change. Like, it literally can change, and looking at every single moment as an opportunity to grow can get you there. It's not going to happen overnight. No one's an overnight success. They're lying to you if they say they are. But this, I mean, think about this. Like, this is a story of a kid, because we're old, that, what he's doing is probably the dream of what everyone in the golf world would want to do. And he talks about interviewing a girls basketball coach at 10:30 at night after a blowout, trying to figure out how to get those reps. So just incredible to think through, like, what it looks like when you take those opportunities.
Yep. Well, incredibly kind for him to join us. Casey, thank you. Y'all enjoy this one. This is just a great reminder that for us, golf is people. Y'all enjoy this episode with Casey Bannon. Joining us on the show today, Mr. Casey Bannon. Everybody knows him as the brand director of the Golfers Journal. Casey, welcome.
Thanks for having me. I don't know if everyone knows me as that, but it's nice. It's nice. Thank you for saying that.
Now they do. Do. For sure, man. No, we really appreciate this. This is an honor for us. We got a lot of respect for what you and what you do, what the Golfers Journal and Broken Tea Society and all that is all about. Obviously, we've had Tom Coyne on the show. We've chatted with him a few different times in a few different capacities, but man, just big fans of what you guys are doing, and so it's always an honor to chat with someone like yourself that's doing stuff in the same realm of what we try to do, but obviously doing it for a longer period of time and doing it much better. So thank you again for taking some time with us.
Well, thanks for saying that. And I really appreciate what you guys do for golf as well. I always enjoy your newsletters. And it's a great resource for me who wants to stay up on what's happening out there in the world very quickly every week. So thank you.
Sure. Well, that's very kind of you, man. But, this podcast was the one that started it for Jonathan and I. We started dabbling, like, what can BestBall, how can we help tell golf stories? And podcasting was going to be one of those things. And then we figured out, so Jonathan and I have 20 plus years in sales experience. We actually figured out we're better at talking and asking questions. And so the interview on a podcast is perfect because we can ask questions and get to know people. And through all that experience, and I know you've probably found this as well, that we've met some incredible people. We've made a lot of great friends through this platform, through this avenue, and so we use the podcast really to learn more about people themselves and hear their golf story, and then have them help kind of share more about what they do. So let's kind of start out with your story, man. How did you get involved with golf?
Um, Boy, I come from a bit of a golf family. My grandfather was absolutely, in love with the game and started caddying at 10 years old, as any kind of second generation Irish immigrant does. I guess my dad um played in college, and was always a good player throughout my life. I sort of resisted the golf bug for a long time until the summer going into high school, when some kids in the neighborhood invited me out to play. And I think that, being able to go out there and just play with other kids for the first time. And, my dad was a one handicap at the time and all his friends are good players. It was an intimidating place to be at some point, no fault of his own, but, you know, Army Navy Country Club in DC wasn't, the most relaxing place for somebody who couldn't break 150. And so, playing with other kids got me, um, you know, I caught the bug immediately. And then from then it was 8 hours a day at the course every day, all throughout high school, rain or shine. So at Fort Belvoir in Virginia, and then ultimately Mount Vernon Country Club, which I owe my golf life to, really opened up a junior membership that I could afford as $1,500 for the year from March till October. They never told me that I couldn't go when I showed up in November 1 or, February 20th, and let me walk for free. And so I spent the majority of my high school life there and was able to get a scholarship to play um, Division II golf at St. Leo University down in Tampa, Florida. And so, I've been I don't know how long that was, maybe 15 years ago, that I got the golf bug or longer, but it hasn't outside of a few months after finishing college golf when I was a little burnt out. It hasn't left me since.
Trying to learn how to play golf with a one handicap is intimidating at any age. I can't
Yeah.
imagine whenever you're like still hitting it 5 yards or missing it on every hard swing and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it was really the etiquette, the sort of there's so many, now I say etiquette, but just sort of the process of playing around the golf with people that know what they're doing. I think it's a real high barrier to entry for young people still if they're playing at um, private clubs or if it's a busy day in general. So my anxiety was always high at the golf course. Like, do I put my bag here? When do I take out my club? Am I in your line? What is this thing you're calling a through line? Now I can't walk on the other side of the hole. Like, there's just so much stuff you have to calibrate before then you can just even get to your golf shot. Right. So it's just a lot of thinking. And then you realize the more that you do it, the more natural it becomes.
Yeah, I had the same experience, only I was 27 years old, and Robbie was like, you can't do that." I'm like, "Why not? Everyone's been walking across the screen all day long. It
Yeah.
really doesn't matter if I walk
Yeah.
across
I,
next."
I feel I
But
feel like my education for you is probably a little better than the course that Casey was at. There was no military drills going on, maybe in and
Y-
around
y-
that area. So
that's true. That's
no, we
true.
didn't
yeah,
play Fort Jackson until recently, but the course that we played at did not. It was definitely more relaxed. We were more worried about the high school kids that were just bumming around and be like, "Come on, guys, let's keep moving."
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you took this and you played through college, change of scenery from the Virginia area down to Florida, and then you had to at some point, you know, I guess finish school and figure out what the next steps were going to be. Was golf the path that you wanted to take? Like, hey, I want to stay working in golf somehow, or was there a gap between where you are now and the end of college?
Yeah, I think, like I said, I got a little burnt out 8 years in a row of, doing it 8 hours, 8 to 10 hours a day and playing tournaments. I wanted to try something else. And I've always been just a sports fan. And a sports media fan, I knew that's what I wanted to do. I called 8 different sports play-by-plays in college for the college broadcast team. So I wanted to get into that world somehow. I took a gig with New England Sports Network right out of college. So the next week, I drove my shitty Hyundai Sonata up to Boston from Tampa and lived on my buddy's couch. And I worked for the Red Sox channel, doing everything from answering emails from angry Red Sox fans to manning the front secretary desk when she wanted to do lunch. Anything they need. Writing commercial spots, just trying it all. I quickly realized like I wanted to be in the editorial room, which was on the second floor. And in a market like Boston, you just don't get to skip the line there. And so I took a bunch of freelance writing gigs, free writing gigs, and ultimately left them. I started flipping foreclosed homes in Rhode Island with my uncle. That broke me after, I don't know, 4 or 5 months. And so moved back to DC, covered high school sports down there for $50 a game. And around that time, I thought like, I was just pitching every newspaper and outlet possible and was getting just no answers most of the time. And 1 out of every 100, they'd say no. And so I thought, I'll give it one more shot and apply to journalism school, and maybe the credentials there would help me get to the second level. And so I got accepted to Northwestern in Chicago, right around when the Golfers Journal popped up, and I saw it. And at that point, I was, I was starting to look at the clubs in the corner of my room already. They were kind of singing to me over there. And so it was this, wonderful timing, really weird, lucky timing. And I think it was the 6th email that I sent to the Golfers Journal that they finally answered and let me write a piece on spec, which turned into me being hired as their first intern. So, a lot of this I just contribute to one, great timing, and like I'll probably make a bunch of bad golf analogies during this podcast, but like as you need like 1 or 2 good bounces every round, and I got a good bounce and was just ready to kind of take advantage of it when it happened.
Well, so overnight success, right? You just went
Yeah.
straight from college and suddenly you're running the Golfers Journal.
Yeah, yeah. It didn't
Yeah.
feel like that when I was, taking the red line to the purple line and walking through snow to cover Evanston High School basketball for $50 a game. But looking back, it was just great timing.
Well,
Well,
every step along the way was a lesson learned that you've been able to apply somewhere
For
in
sure.
the next thing. So for sure, and like you
Abs-
said, maybe that was the 8 hours a day playing golf, where you're like, you know what, I just got to keep trying, and that led you to continuation of emails to the Golfers Journal to finally get that shot. So
Yeah.
everything's a lesson, man. You just got to look for it and then apply.
I really do think that's a profound point though, because as like anyone that loves golf and loves to kind of grind, or I don't know if you're a practice, range rat, or just, like just trying to get better. There's so many days. I think the majority of days when you do that, playing this game, you leave feeling defeated, like with no ideas or next steps of like where you'll go next, right? And I feel that way in this job a lot of times. And then you realize you decompress, you take a shower, you get something to eat, and that as you're going to sleep, you're like, oh, I have an idea. In golf, it was like, oh, what if I just take it a little bit more outside, right? Or what if I just strengthen the left hand? Okay, tomorrow we're gonna try it, and you get the energy to do it again, and it feels that way like in life as well.
well,
I
yeah, because
love
it
it.
sounds like, I mean, you spent, if I'm doing math on this correctly, it sounds like you probably spent 3 to 4 years sort of wandering in the wilderness, if you will, like just grinding out. And I like what you said though. You kept developing a skill,
Mm-hmm.
right? You
Mm-hmm.
realized, wait a minute, I've got to I want to be there, but no one's going to let me just be there because I said, hey, I want to be in your space. You took the free stuff. You did You did the hard work. You went to the Evanston high school so that you could figure out what's going on in a boys sophomore basketball game or whatever it is. You did the crap and the trudge. And that's not, if you're out there and you're listening to this thinking, well, how do I get to where Casey is? Well, do the hard work,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Every rep counts, right? So like if you're asking a high school basketball coach after they just got blown out and like the guy's got, kids at home and he's probably making shit money and stuff, and you got to go up to him in
Right.
the locker room and you need a quote for the, Winnetka Times by 11 p.m. That is a rep. That's a valuable rep and a
That's
skill
right.
that you don't know how it's going to be applied in the future. Just like every ball that you hit on the range at some point, like, if you get under a big moment in tournament golf or whatever it may be, or maybe it's just, you're playing around with your boss and you want to impress somebody or, whatever, like that's every swing you've ever put together that comes out in that moment. So I always
Yeah.
saw it as like, kind of just stacking up reps. And I guess it helps if you're like utterly obsessed with something too. I mean, I was just absolutely manic at that time trying to find a way into this business.
Well, and they
Yeah.
always talk about luck is when preparation meets opportunity. Because you talk about getting the right ball to bounce. The ball bounced 5 times the wrong way.
Yeah.
For that specific moment until that sixth email, I just want to know what your follow-ups look like. Like whenever you're like, are you like throwing in articles in the middle of it? Are you trying to write a soliloquy so they think like, man, this guy writes such a good email. Maybe we should hire him as a writer.
I think it was getting pretty desperate. It was just like, I promise you, just like let me call you, and talk to you. And I don't remember what I said. I'm just super
That's
thankful
awesome.
that they answered.
So what happened then from internship or being able to get an article there to where you are now? Like talk about the process, because again, you didn't walk in and they say, "Great, Casey's here. We've got a brand director." Like what was the process through your Golfer's Journal experience to get to where you are now?
Yeah, I think at that time it was so much fun because it was, we were really just a young quarterly publication that was trying to figure out what to do in the 3 months between when that copy would land. We were starting to see some good traction with people subscribing just to get our book every quarter, but there was no podcast producer. We kind of put out a podcast once every, whatever, few weeks. Tom Coyne had just taken over the podcast. DJ Pyhowski had started it and then he had left for No Laying Up. So there was, I walked into a space that I thought just had just incredible opportunity right everywhere you looked. The social feeds had maybe a few thousand followers here and there. um we didn't even have stories online at that time. That was a COVID project, when we couldn't leave the house. We didn't have a YouTube channel, and we had just started experimenting with the first one or two community events. And so I think a big sort of light bulb moment was when we did an event. Is the first one I worked, and it just so happened, it was funny enough, it had happened to be at Laurel Hill in Virginia, where like I had finished third in the Virginia boys state am there. Like I knew this place super well. It was right down the street from where I grew up, and they were like, we're hosting this fundraiser for veterans. My dad's a veteran. I was just like, can I go to this event? And they were like, sure. So they threw me out there, and it was, 100 Broken Tea Society members at the time showed up. They were incredibly enthusiastic. The thing sold out. We raised, over, I think, 20 something $1,000 that day. And I'm like, man, like we have to do more of these. Like this is unbelievable that, you know, the caliber of people that were there. They come to Laurel Hill. Laurel Hill's a public golf course in Virginia, and they paid over a premium to be there. And so, that my evolution just became sticking my fingers in things where I wasn't supposed to be touching. But like, we built out a digital footprint. We built we found an identity with the podcast. We put together, the next year we put together 8 events. Then we, started a YouTube channel and started growing that. started, really ramping up our social coverage and and just more, slowly and methodically. That felt, we had to find whatever the extension of whatever you felt with the Golfer's Journal in print, trying to trickle that down to all these different mediums. We had to find it. But yeah, so it's just become like it wasn't super intentional, like, I'm gonna go from intern to do something else. It just felt like, you know, that was that was the thing that needed to be done. And, so I was an editorial assistant for a while and then an assistant editor, and then found myself playing traffic cop between all of these different events and community and apparel and media. And so it just kind of naturally evolved into a different job than the one I was hired to do.
How soon were you brought into the mix from when the Golfers Journal took started versus where it is now? And specifically, I'm interested to hear, not everything works, right? So where along the path, because now, of course, it's Golfers Journal, it's Broken Tea Society, it's the you see the logo and you're like, oh, I know exactly what it is, and so does every other golfer probably out there. But what does it look like at the beginning stages, or even as from your internship experience as it grows forward? What were those moments where you're like, this isn't going to work at all? Or how many ideas did you guys just be like, this was a terrible idea, we should never do this again?
I mean, more than I can count. More. I mean, I put out more bad stuff than anybody probably, or at least it feels that way. I don't know. I don't know exactly. I know a big part of my journey was, right after I got hired. Um, I went out to visit our office in California, and I had never met really anybody that I worked with. I was working from my dorm room mostly, and I'd never been to California. And they're in this stunning place in San Clemente, like right by the beach, and there's surfing and there's pretty girls and there's, burritos and poke bowls. And they were like, so where are you going to live? And I was like, I didn't know that I had an option. Can I live here? And so I just packed up my stuff and went out to told my mom I was going to California and stayed there for 3 years. And I got to learn. I sat, right next to Brendan, who's the real genius behind the Golfers Journal and the founder and the publisher. And it's really his vision. And I got to sit next to him every day and learn everything that there is to know about this business, top to bottom. And, to his credit, the best thing that ever happened to me was he just let me fail rapidly.
Mm.
I remember one day I really wanted to play golf. I uploaded the podcast and like uploaded just an hour of dead silence, nothing, and didn't learn about it till I was on the 12th hole. And so, I mean, there's so many of those just horror stories. This is very early on. I don't even remember what it's like, episode 30 something. So luckily there was only maybe 2,000 people listening to it at that time. But he really let me just experiment and fail and find my style. And I think that was, incredibly important to being able to make what I hope are better decisions now. I hope.
At least not
Yeah,
blank air.
Yeah, yeah. Just make sure there's something playing on the other side. Yeah.
that's funny. I can only imagine that conversation. We've had a couple times where we've uploaded something and it's like, man, we forgot to take out that one thing that we were going to take out. And
Yep.
it's a quick re-edit and re-upload. And I get that. So,
It sucks.
um, but that experience though, so you learn to fail and you learn to fail fast, which I love that. But there's also probably some incredible things that you learn from him as well. Is there like one or two things that stuck with you that you're still applying today?
Yeah. Um, I don't even know if it's probably necessarily about business or golf in general. I think a lot of it was, he came from a pretty like heavy stoic background and gave me. I was very manic and very like impatient at this time. I was 23. First time on the West Coast living on my own. It was just a tough time. I was just kind of like all over the place, a little bit erratic, and wanted to succeed really bad. So he gave me some books. The Almanac of Naval is one of my favorites still, and he earmarked a couple pages for me. And I still, when I get out of sequence in life, I still go back and read that. So it was a lot more of just like teaching me that this is a long term game, whether I'm here or somewhere else, and that relationships compound, your reputation compounds, and so you don't have to win today or by Friday if you keep stacking up good days over and over again, just like compound interest in your investments or whatever, like that will pay off eventually. And so I think that just like settled me down a little bit, realized that like everything is not life or death today. It felt that way at the time, especially when you're in a startup environment and trying to do a lot of things at once. And you get an email from somebody that says they didn't enjoy this or something happened. Like, just show up every day, be a good teammate, be a good person, and just let some of that other stuff happen. Right. I think that was the biggest thing for me that I still try to remember to this day.
It's easy to remember that lesson whenever it's Evanston High School, but whenever you feel like you arrived, then you feel like you have to deliver all the time, right? Like that pressure of this is the big stage, this is the event, and I think it's helpful that the founder even to be able to say this isn't the event. The event's still it's coming, it's still
Yeah.
growing, it's still going to be something else. Where spending that much time with them and having that kind of relationship, where where's the vision of what Golfer Journals does next? I mean, if what it's doing right now isn't it, like where does it grow? What are the new ideas and the next things that sort of blow our minds maybe from a golfing perspective?
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, it's quite simple. We're trying to provide an incredible experience to people who really love golf. So if it fits that criteria, then it falls under our our purview. So, I don't know what one day, I'd like to have we'd like to have a physical clubhouse where members can hang out or a golf course or something like that. But I love this place because we don't really focus too much on that every day. It's like, how can you make somebody who's paid us for this service, how can you make their experience 1% better?
Yeah.
So I leave, I have big ideas, sure. I leave a lot of that up to him because, I'm in the trenches every day trying to make 1%, this 1% better. So yeah, can you create uh, more trips and more in-person experiences for golfers? Yes. Can you create ways in which that there's just incredible people all throughout this community? How can you dream up ideas to actually bring them together to let that magic happen when they meet each other and then their network grows? What other types of media or stories can you tell just to entertain golfers? Like, it's I think the blueprint is there, and we just have to continue to build out each single one of these legs on the stool.
Well, one of the newest things that you guys have just released is apparel, right? You got
Mm,
in. This is something that when we saw you back in what April, you
hmm.
said, "Hey, here's what's coming next." And then as we are recording this here in early June, this just launched for you guys. So this is something for your community, right? For people
Yeah.
out there, another way to make their golf experience better by providing the Broken Tea Society with more apparel options. So tell us a little more about that.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even call it's definitely not something I consider like a member benefit. I spend a lot of my time on just benefits. This is not, I think it's a benefit, hopefully to people that love golf and want to look great and have something of high quality that lasts. So that's great. But I think the DNA of our brand is people who um, make physical, tactile products and really high quality ones. And so for the longest time, we were embellishing our logo on other people's stuff. And I don't mean that as a negative. We've had some incredible partners over the year. I love Holderness and Bourne. I love Zero Restriction, and all the way back to Linksole is our first partner. And I still wear their stuff all the time. It's just, if we're going to be true to ourselves, then we need to make it from scratch, right? And we had a very specific vision, natural fibers, no synthetics, very minimal branding, so you could wear it with the logo or without the logo. You could wear it to dinner or date or to the office. Um, yeah, and we had also been experimenting with accessories for a while. We have like a little test kitchen back in California where we were, if you're familiar with our premium gift that we give our premium members every year, we started, playing with ripstop nylon for backpacks and then wax canvas for duffels. We make all of those premium gifts ourselves from the ground up. So we kind of found something there that we thought we could then take to apparel, and finally got the right people in the door to help us. None of us came from the apparel world. We're all mostly editorial folks, and so I'm super excited because it's stuff I would really I would like to wear. And I think, also having 7 years of like seeing community members at events and what they like and being able to survey that, which is a huge benefit. Like I think we made something really clean, really tight, really really sharp. And so I hope, people enjoy it, and then we'll keep on refining it for next year and beyond.
Did you ever think you were going to be a part of a clothing brand whenever you're like trying to figure out how this is going to work? And
No, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I would say it's, I think media is one of the hardest things to do out there, like,
oh,
as a business, but apparel is pretty
clothing is
hard.
a whole nother
Clothing's hard.
thing.
It's a pain in the ass.
I
Yeah.
can't. I have a friend of mine that always wants to own a t-shirt company, but he never wants to actually figure out how to do the t-shirts. He
Right.
loves this idea of t-shirts are good, man. I'm like, yeah, it's because you've never made them. Like you've never. Oh, I
Yeah.
would. Yeah, I'd probably be like, this is a terrible idea. We don't need to do this. But like you said, though, it took time to get the right people in the room, right? It
Mhm.
isn't something, and I think that speaks to what the Golfers Journal is doing, right? At all times, it's not getting out over its skis. It's trying to figure out, it's not trying to come up with the next thing that changes everyone's life on Friday. It's going steady in a single direction over a long period of time.
100%. Yep.
Yeah.
Patience, patience, patience.
One of the things I really appreciate about what you guys do, and again, we are light years behind, and we'll probably never catch up to that. But we're big golf story fans, and so I love how you, both through the podcast, through the book that comes out quarterly that I'm expecting in the mail, hopefully with a golden ticket here coming up soon. But and then the writings online and stuff. But is that something you still, and I know, you've got a great team of writers and photographers and people that you work with, and Tom, obviously, that helps do a lot of the podcast stuff. Is that something that you're just always on the hunt for the next great golf story, you personally?
Absolutely. Yeah. And one of the great benefits of my job is that I get to travel a lot and I get to interact with a lot of people. And so a lot of it just comes through that. Golf is just and like golf is a storytelling game, right? Like, what do we
Right.
do as golfers when we get around and have a drink after the round? Like, we just shoot the shit. I don't even know if some of these stories are true, but I'm like, all right, I'm gonna put that in my notes app for another day. Um, so all of a lot of the best stories I think we've ever done have come from just playing golf and somebody telling me a story, and so this journal has become a record of those stories that we find out in the world. So the hunt never ends. I used to be like, I used to be much more online, I would say, with the search for stories when I was younger and not traveling as much. I'd be digging through Reddit and message weird corners of the golf world message boards and stuff. And I still do that from time to time, but now I think mostly it's, golf is a word of mouth kind of storytelling game. And so you just got to go out in the world and you can find remarkable stuff.
Yeah.
I was
And you
traveling a
guys
lot for
also, no, go ahead, Jonathan.
I was gonna say I was traveling a lot for work years ago in a completely different, unrelated field, and I always thought I thought it'd be fun to create a thing called the people that you meet because
Hmm.
there are stories everywhere.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, you were talking about whether those stories are true. They're probably 25 yards less than whatever the story was told. But at the same time, that you're right. Like at the end of a round, and someone says, "How was your round?" There is a story, a hole, a shot, a feeling, a sense that captured what happened in those 3 to 4 hours
Hmm.
that you shared with somebody, and then obviously you guys just share it better than most when it comes to how do we get that out to the larger community.
Yeah, there's so many of stories that like border like folklore and stuff, and um in the past we haven't run any of these because you can't verify whether it's true. But I was talking to Tom and Travis last week, like we should like let's just create a section where we can like
Call
remove
it
ourselves from
folklore.
accountability and just be
That's
like,
right.
look,
Yeah,
I heard about this, don't know if it's true, but they're
right.
entertaining at least.
You'll find at least 3 people that say it's true somewhere on the Twitterverse. Someone will say, "Oh, yeah, I was there for that," or "My brother's cousin was there."
Yeah, but you start hearing all these stories and then you'll go to a different course and they have like a very similar story with like,
That's right.
different, just a few of the elements are tweaked. I'm like, oh, hold on, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's exciting you right now in golf?
Wow. It's a great question. Um, I think a few things. One is just like I don't think I've on a personal level, like I don't think I've ever aside from like that summer going into freshman year high school, I don't think I've ever been more in love with actually playing the game of golf. And so like, somebody asked me the other day, what do I love about golf? Which is a hard question, but like I still think the greatest feeling in the world is like a well struck golf shot. Like I don't think I'll ever get tired of hitting golf shots or practicing short game, like hitting pitches around a green or anything like that. Um, but I also am excited as far as like the golf world at large. Just the influx of creativity that's happened since 2020. I think we're starting to see kind of like that post-COVID boom. There was all these talks about like, obviously you get new golfers, right? New customers to the game, but you also got a lot of people that were successful in other industries decide to start their own business in golf. And I think we're just starting to see how that looks and plays out. And so there's all different types of exciting new brands. Jane Golf out in California, I wrote a feature on them and issue, dedicated to, creating characters, almost like a Disney World for kids to fall in love with golf. I think that's fascinating. I think, I got a postcard on my desk from Dear Pards.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, who's
with Garrett. Garrett's awesome.
yes, sending, these postcards. You can subscribe $5 a month and they come pre-stamped with art from Dave Baisden. So there's all these like things that I'm not creative enough to kind of see or spot, but we're seeing just a much bigger, more well-rounded universe of golf. And I think that's kind of incredibly exciting.
Always something. There's always another great idea out there.
Yeah, there is.
Ways to improve a lot of stuff. Well, one thing that we have never done is taking advantage of your many events that you guys do. How many are y'all up to now on an annual basis?
This year we'll do 45.
Wow.
So,
That's crazy.
What'd you
And
do
how
the
many of
first
those
year?
do you get to?
I this year will probably do somewhere between 7 to 10. Um, that's like my stay married number. So that that luckily some of these I can drive to in the southeast, so that's fine. But I just got back from a a week, a 9-day trip. We did an event at the bridge in Southampton area, New York, and then Sankaty Head in Nantucket. And then later this month, I'll go over to Minnesota to do our big 2-man event at Interlochen in Minneapolis. So I'll probably get to 7 to 10. There's a 3-day stretch I'm definitely going to in the fall, which is Little Marion, Catanzit, and Eastward Ho. We'll do that. I'll do one of Moiset, one of my favorites in Rhode Island. So I've got kind of the start of the year. I've got my selfish list set.
Is there a pecking order on who gets to call the staff shot for different courses or different events?
I wouldn't say a pecking order. I mean, so I do the scheduling of the events with Tim Woodruff, who works at the Golfers Journal and one of the original employees. So he and I, and then Tom, of course, pitches in because nobody has been to more golf courses than Tom Coyne probably in the world. And so, doing the scheduling, I kind of elbow my way in there to the ones that I want. And then, we've got a great group of like young event coordinator staff that need to be there. But definitely like when you get into, the rest of the editorial team, there's a lot of friendly bickering and lobbying and, backstabbing and, maneuvering for who gets to go to what.
Were you there for the first events?
So the first event was at Goat Hill Park in 2018. I was not there I was in school at that time. That was right around the time where I was starting to harass them. And then, 2019, early 2019, the second and third events I was there for. And then we decided to build out the Sprinter van that we have um, in a meeting I'll never forget in December of 2019, right when I moved out to California, and Brendan said this thing's going to be on the road by Masters Week in April. And I'm like, that sounds awesome. And everyone's looking around. I'm looking around the room and they're all looking at me. I'm like, oh, I'm going to drive it too. And they're like, yeah, you're going to drive. You're the only one without kids.
You're the single.
Or a
That's
family.
exactly right. Yeah.
And then COVID happened, right? So it was this
Right.
huge blessing in disguise that we had decided to kind of take this on a mobile route, and the golf courses that summer honored the deal, and we were able to host events outside. And I think it became a really important thing for our community to be able to get out of the house and
Right.
go play Tobacco Road or Jeffersonville or Ballyhack or wherever the hell else Pinehurst. I don't know. That was a blur, but that was the 8 events, and I think that was the first real true Broken Tea Society tour. And I did 70 days on the road in that thing, drove it back from Virginia to California, and the next day went into the conference room all day and started calling golf clubs. And we put together, I think, close to 20 events for the following year. I was something like 15 to 20, and it is we're still trying to find the line of when people will stop signing up and coming. So,
Yep.
45's a lot.
45's a lot.
It's one a week, or
Yeah.
2 a week at this point.
I think our
How many
buddy
miles did?
I think our buddy Brandon's doing the one at Sand Valley here in a couple months, so he's pretty pumped.
Oh
on
yeah,
that.
Sand Valley's a great trip. Yep.
Yeah.
How many miles did you put on that van?
I have no idea on that.
It was a lot.
Oh, there's a lot of miles. Yeah. Oh, over
Yeah.
over 2 for sure.
Is there?
You don't think you can convince? It sounds like you're married now. You don't think you can convince your wife that that's a good idea to do again?
Well, she might take it at this point, but she just came with me on the last 9-day trip, so it's great. She's a golfer. She played at the same school I did, so I'm very lucky. She loves it and gets it and wants to be a part of it too. So it's only when she doesn't get to go on the trip that she's.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Just don't. Once you have kids, don't tell her what you're eating for dinner. That's listen. If you put that in your pocket.
Yeah.
How was your day? It was good. How was your day? Leftover peanut butter and jelly sandwiches from kids that are screaming and yelling. Yeah. Don't tell them you're eating steak.
Yeah.
Just don't.
I have a terrible time every time I leave the house for sure.
Yeah. Well, then she looks at your Instagram and sees all your food pictures. So you got to stop that part too. What would be, so people that are listening to this obviously know a little bit about you, probably a lot about you. They have obviously heard of the Golfers Journal, Broken Tea Society. if we happen to have one that is not a part of it, what would be the reason you would tell them that, hey, they should check this out? Like, come be a part of what we're doing here.
That's a great question. I think it's there. I can answer it on multiple levels. But if you're just looking for a better experience in golf and belong to something better, I think this is a great spot. I think the Golfer's Journal is, the best reading material in golf. It's the best physical product. It looks great in your home. You keep it forever. It's not like a, magazine you get and throw out. So you're getting a keepsake and something you can always revisit throughout your life. That's one. This community is really, really, really special. It's hard to really put into words how special it is unless you've been to one of these events before. But I was randomly paired up at Sanctity Head with two guys that I thought were lifelong best friends. They turns out they met 4 months ago in our Broken Tea Society app doing a club swap. One of them is a very successful investment banker. The other one was head of product at Amazon Web Services, and they can probably get themselves out to these golf courses using their own network. But they love to meet the other types of people um, that participate in these things. So, businesses have been started through these events. Annual trips have been started through these events. I'll give you another example. Our first trip to Ireland a few years ago, there was 28 people on the bus. I had never met any of them before. I was chaperoning the trip. I had never been to Ireland either. It was me and Tom Coyne. So he was like the tour guide, and I was just making sure everyone had what they needed. Those 28 people, by the end of the trip, had become the best of friends. And so much so, like last week, they all went to Pinehurst together. We booked them a trip to Pinehurst as a reunion. And so, you can't really, it's it's hard to put into words exactly what the magic that happens when you put people together that really love the game, but are also just good humans in general, and interesting people from all different sorts of backgrounds. So, my pitch would be just try it. I could jack up the price of this premium membership 4x of what it is now, but it's not. It's about the same price as a pair of FootJoys premieres, because I think we always want to over deliver on what our promise is. And so I guarantee, anyone that if you sign up for that, you're going to see, far more value than what you give, and that's kind of the idea. So.
I love it. Well, yeah, for those out there that are listening, you obviously love golf. And if you are not a part of the Golfer's Journal and the Broken Tea Society, definitely go check it out. Well, as we start to wrap up, you mentioned the nothing like the feeling of a perfectly flush shot. And we all chase that. Might get one around, might get one every other round. Sound like yourself, probably get it multiple times around. But one question that we have asked every guest that we've ever had on this thing, and again, it's because we love golf stories, is we want to know the story of your most memorable golf shot.
Um, that's a great question. The one that always comes to my mind was I think I was 16 and I was playing Army Navy Fairfax with my dad and my uncle, and I hit it in and I was not good at this time. I mean, I hadn't not good. I was getting better very fast, but I still was learning how to play the game, and my ball was like on the upslope of this bunker. I had about 190 out. It goes down the hill. I think it was like number 7. There's 3 nines there, so I don't even remember what hole. Down the hill, and it was a front right pin over a creek, and I had a Tommy Armour hybrid that I had found in a used bin. It was my favorite club. I think it was a 4 hybrid, and I hit this thing, and it's felt like no other shot I've ever hit. I frankly thought I just hit it into the lip, but I hit it to about 2 feet, and it was a big kind of like banana peeling cut. But I'll never forget, that shot was the first shot I thought like I might be able to like actually be good at this game, because that was what the center of the face actually feels like. And I rocked that Tommy Armour hybrid for Way too long after that.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it
Yeah,
helps that you're with good company as well.
absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. Well, another thing we like to do is we finish up is what we call the quick nine. So just a little back and forth here. First question: what is, man? You got a lot to choose from. What's the favorite course you've ever played?
National Golf Links of America.
Is there anything still left on your bucket list of courses you want to play?
Um, St. Andrews, Pine Valley, um, and Royal Melbourne.
I've heard of a group that puts together trips. You could maybe just like you're sitting next to the guy, like that's how you just what are we doing next year? Oh, let me see here. I've got these 3 locations. I'll be
Oh yeah.
happy to go. Wouldn't be a
Well,
problem at
well,
all.
well, Pine Valley was a no. I checked with them. Yep, yep. So the other two, I'm working on.
Nice. All right. Favorite course that no one knows about?
It's a sick question. Um, I would say Glenarvan in Thomasville, Georgia.
Man,
Uh,
that's the second time.
has somebody said that?
Someone told us Thomasville, Georgia, the same place like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's only 5 hours away.
And 30 minutes away from there, not even 30 minutes, is Kinderloo Forest, which is semi-private and Davis Love designed, and it is absolutely fantastic. I think it stretches like back to 8,100 yards from the tips, but it is like, there's some seriously sick golf in that corner of the world. Glenarvan's where Mason Howell, the U.S. Am winner, plays out of, and it's short, but it's like all connected fairways and like Augusta-ish type land and big beautiful trees. It's just fantastic. But I don't really hear many people talk about it ever.
There's a nice restaurant called Jonah's downtown. It's got
Yes, there is.
good fish.
Yes, there is.
We need to make
Yeah.
that happen, Jonathan. All
Oh,
right.
listen, yeah.
Yeah.
That's only 5 hours. I've done that trip a number of times.
Let's do it. All right, Casey, who would be in your dream foursome?
Um, Don Rickles would be one.
So much fun.
Do they have to be alive?
No,
No,
it
it's your
doesn't
dreams.
matter.
No, I would put Don Rickles, John F. Kennedy, and probably my grandfather. That would be good banter with the three of them.
That'd be awesome.
Don Rickles. I don't know how you finish a round of golf if Don Rickles
That
out
would
there.
be.
There's no way. He just bent over the entire day.
I just want to know what he would ask JFK. I mean, it would be.
Whoa,
That would be.
don't record it. That would not be allowed to be on public airways.
That'd be a great YouTube video.
That would be awesome. All right. What in all your golf travels, what's been your favorite snack at the turn?
Um, it's hard to beat the burger dog. The peanut butter and bacon, peanut butter jelly and bacon at Fisher's Island. I would say the sneakiest one was I played Monterey Peninsula on a very cold day, and they had chili at the turn, and that was like, touched a part of my soul I didn't know existed.
Yeah, the cold part.
A little internal
Yeah.
warmth. That's what we had somebody talk
Yeah.
about somewhere in the UK. They serve like just beef broth or something like that, just in a cup, and
Yeah.
it was amazing. Favorite golf course logo?
Oh,
Looking at a wall of flags.
I think I like. I was looking at my closet over here. I love the Ohoopee logo. I love the onion. It's very, I don't know what it is. It's so well done, very simple. I also am like quite drawn to the Native American, the Seminoles and Shinnecocks of the world because they're very colorful. But I think the Ohoopee one takes up a lot of real estate in the closet for
Nice.
good reason. I will say, if I could add, Newport Country Club has a really fantastic kind of like that split red and blue. That's a really well done one as well.
Nice.
A Hoopie logo always feels like the insider logo. Like you see it and you're like, oh, there's the golfer guy. And to be fair, you're probably wearing it so that someone goes, did you play a Hoopie?
I know there's never like a great time, if you wear that on to the airport or something, I mean, you're 100% peacocking and looking for a chat, with a golfer. So
I had a good conversation in a lounge with the guy who had that exact same thing on. He had that and the penguin. He had the penguin on it. I was like, whoa, where are you getting that at?
Mm-hmm.
All right. You might have to look at your closet again. Favorite pro shop purchase?
Oh, uh, I had a good answer for this. Um, I just bought a mahjong set from a hoopy. I don't know how to play. But that was like I'm in the late stage pro shop addiction where I'm looking for like the weirdest shit you could possibly
Right.
find.
Oh yeah.
You
Right.
know, like and so like that is one of I think the better ones. I'm trying to think. I bought something else super weird the other day. The other one is just like I love. Now I'm big into the socks. The Del
Del
Campo
Campo.
socks. My wife works for them now,
Oh really?
and so it's kind of
Nice.
like
Nice.
I'm kind of like supporting my own household, but I already had a problem to begin with. So like anyone that has socks, I'll buy a pair of socks, and you don't feel like it's not like you're not breaking the bank to do it either, but you still
Right.
kind of are scratching the itch. Yeah.
That was my son's request from the Masters. He's like, "Give me a pair of those socks," because I had gotten them. We'd talked with Zach before, and he wears them all the time. So, yeah,
They're great. They're
they
great.
are. All right. What is one thing golfers should do?
They should do.
Yeah,
Aside from subscribe to the Golfers Journal,
yeah. That's the obvious answer, of course.
That's a little plug there.
I think they should take the I think they should take the golf trip that they've wanted to take. I think they should book the trip. They should sit down and uh and do it. And I guarantee you you know, whatever you get out of it far outweighs whatever money you spend or, hassle it was to get to that part of the world. I've never taken a golf trip and said that wasn't worth it or I wish I didn't do that at the end of it. They really become they become like the memories and like a markers of time that you end up living by. So if you call yourself a golfer and you believe you are a golfer, then whatever that trip is, be responsible, obviously. Um, but generally, if you've really wanted to do that thing, I would say do that thing.
Absolutely.
I like the be responsible part because most people we turn
Yeah.
all that we turn
Yeah,
that
I'm not
part off.
saying like quit your job and like go to, do play every links in Ireland like Tom Coyne did. But you should somewhere in the middle.
Meta golf trip. All right, last question. Finish this sentence. The best part of golf is
Um, is the people that you meet through golf. I would say. I would say the
yeah,
people that you meet. A close second would be that feeling like right before you take a trip with your golf trip with or around with your best friends. It could be the night before or on the drive in, when dopamine is the highest, that anticipation of like this is going to be the best day ever. Like that is the best part. But you need to have the people that you care about along the way to
right.
do that. So
Yeah.
I love it. Well, for us, it is definitely all of the above, especially people and getting to do things like this, getting to hang out with you for a little bit to tell some golf stories. Been a lot of fun. Case, we
absolutely.
we do really appreciate this, man. It's been great.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And again, thanks for what you guys do for the game. Best of luck to you.
Sure. Yeah. Well, everybody needs to go check out golfersjournal.com. Subscribe if you are not already a part of it. Get in the Broken Tea Society. Go check out all the things, and it might be one of the events that Casey's at if you go to one of those. But and maybe he'll get out to more of them. So, anyway, for
Yes.
Casey and Jonathan, this is Robbie. Y'all been listening to another episode of the Whole Story Podcast.